This is so cute. This is the first script I ever wrote, and you can tell it's the first script I ever wrote. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me again. Told you I'd be back again. I mean, not that I'm not going to come back again. I think I'm so good at starting these videos, you know. You can tell my train of thought's gone. Welcome back, like I was saying. Thank you for joining me. Today I am going to be covering the first ever script I wrote, which is probably about 2 years ago now, from when I first had the channel, and then I've got it back again. I can absolutely tell that this is the first script I ever wrote. There's a bit of information. It's not going to be the longest video, and it is a very weird one, so just bear that in mind. You may have heard of it previously because it is the one that people go to when they look for, if you Google strange true crime, this will definitely come up because it is just so odd. It is one of those ones that has some words and names that I am going to butcher at pronouncing, but I will try my absolute best. You're just going to have to learn to live with that I can barely speak English. I don't think I have any housekeeping. Don't think I have any trigger warnings either. As always, content warning of strong language. Oh, before I do start though, look how cute this is. I got it on Shein. Do you think I can like hold it like that for the video? How cute. Oh, no. So today I'm going to be covering the case of See, it started terribly. Today I'm going to be covering the case of Walburga Ostrich. Thankfully for me, she commonly goes by Dolly, so that is absolutely what I'm going to be calling her. Okay, we're off to a cracking start because my first line is that Dolly was born on the 8th of May 1961, but slightly further down the line is when she was 33, it was 1913. So that doesn't make sense. I'm going to assume, 1861, although the math still isn't mathin', I don't think. I'm going to go 1861. If you care that much, Google it. Dolly was born on the 8th of April 1861-ish. You're gonna have to Google it. Actually, I figured out how to add things. I will put when she was born. She was definitely born on April 8th. I just don't know what year. And it's quite unclear whether she was born in Germany or in the USA. However, we're going straight to the USA. She's in Wisconsin, and she lives in an area that is mainly dominated by German immigrants. When Dolly was 12 years old, she went to go and work at a textile company. So I'm going to assume it's not the 60s, but I don't really know. She went to go work at a textile company which was owned by Fred Oesterreich, who was also a German immigrant, and he frequently hired fellow German immigrants to work for him. Dolly was described as a charming, charismatic and attractive young lady, and it wasn't long before she caught Fred's eye. The two of them married when Dolly was 17. However, it was rumoured that Dolly had a lot of lovers. And whilst Fred was out working all day, she'd just have whoever she fancied around the house. So again, the date just doesn't date. In 1913, when Dolly was 33 years old, she met a man named Otto. And Otto worked for her husband Fred, and he was a sewing machine repairman. He came round one day I'm assuming to fix her sewing machine, and it said that Dolly met him at the door wearing nothing but a silky robe, stockings and a smile. She invited Otto into her home, and this was the start of their love affair. And she, to avoid suspicion, she told her neighbours that Otto was her homeless brother, which is just, I don't know how I feel about that. So Otto and Dolly were not exactly discreet about what they were doing, and it wasn't long before Fred caught on to what was going on, and he threatened to end the relationship if she didn't pack it in, basically. But Dolly wanted both of them. She wasn't willing to give up either one or the other. So in order to keep her affair going with Otto and keep her husband, she says to Otto, "Hey, why don't you quit your job and move into my attic?" And he goes, "Sure." So each morning Fred would leave for work and Otto would come down from his attic house and continue their affair, which is just, I told you it was weird. So the way that Otto got into the attic was a hatch in Dolly and Fred's bedroom, in the wardrobe, there was like a trap door, and he would get into his little attic house through that, which is, I think it makes it worse. But Dolly supplied him with all the basic needs. She supplied him with a cot, which I'm assuming is a bed, some reading material, a lamp, and during the day he would do some housework. She had a set up. He would do the housework, and then at night he'd go into his attic and be silent, because we can't let Fred know that he's there. So he would just read graphic novels in the evening. I think they're science fiction. I realised I said graphic novels, and it sounds a bit dirty, doesn't it? Science fiction in the evening. Otto would later describe himself as being kind of kept as Dolly's sex slave, and said that they'd have sex about 8 times a day, which is wild. Every day. Yeah, poor Fred is completely unaware. What's the male alternative of a mistress? That Dolly's mistress was in the attic. He was probably sleeping above their heads, which is crazy. Now, Dolly starts gaslighting Fred. Fred is sure something's going on, but he can't quite put his finger on what is happening. He knows that there's food going missing, different things are moving around the house, and that he does keep hearing certain noises. And Dolly just goes, "It's all in your head. You're stressed out at work and you drink too much. You've just got an overactive imagination. Shut up." Poor Fred. In 1918, they moved to LA, and Dolly agreed to move on one condition, and that was that she got to pick the house that they then moved into. So obviously she could pick a house with an attic. And Otto agreed to move with them. You'd kind of assume he would be being kept like against his will or something, but he's living the life of Riley. He has to do a few chores in the day. He gets free food, free accommodation, and unlimited sex by the sounds of it. He is living his best life. It's just wild that he moves with them. So yeah, she picks out a house with an attic. She tells Otto, "This is the house, this is the address, here's the key," and he moves in a week prior to Fred and Dolly moving in. It's just so weird. On August 22nd, 1922, Otto is obviously in the attic, and he overhears Fred and Dottie arguing. I keep saying Dottie, I think it's Dolly. Sorry, Dolly. Here's Fred and Dolly arguing, and he believes that she is in danger. So he gets a pistol from the attic, comes downstairs, and shoots Fred 3 times and kills him. The two lovers then panic and try and stage a burglary. Now, I'm not being funny, it's 1922. It can't be that hard to get away with murder, but apparently it is. So they try and stage a burglary. They mess up the house, I'm assuming, and they get the cash and the diamonds and things like that to make it look like they have actually nicked stuff. Otto pushes Dolly into the wardrobe and locks it and leaves her in there. And then I'm assuming he flees the scene because police must have to search the house. And they might find him in the attic. Although if they go in the attic anyway, there should be like a whole bedroom up there, which must be weird. Oh, I don't know. Dolly explained to the police that she was hanging up her fur coat that she'd worn that evening and was putting it in the wardrobe when someone pushed her into the wardrobe and locked it, and then she heard gunshots. It was actually the neighbours that rang the police when they heard the shots being fired. The police were unaware of Otto's presence in the house, so maybe he was still in the house. The police were suspicious of Dolly, but no one could explain exactly how she had managed to lock herself in the wardrobe, because you couldn't lock it from the inside and she had no key on her, so there was no way she could physically lock herself in on her own. But they knew something just wasn't quite right. I believe they had taken things from the house, but I believe they just stashed them in a different place, so nothing was actually really taken from the house. Another thing that they had a problem with was there was no clear motive for the murder. There was no motive as to why Dolly would want her husband dead. So Dolly's now a widow, and she moves out of the house that she was in, and you would assume that now her and Otto's relationship can be made public and he can live in the room with her. However, when she bought a new house, he continued to live in the attic of the house. And not just for like a couple of months, he lived in the attic for 8 years. Who the hell is that? But Dolly's up to her old trick. She seems to just not be satisfied with one man and needs at least 2. Which, I don't know. So Dolly's now also having an affair with her defence attorney after she has been accused of murdering Fred. In 1930, Herman Shapiro became suspicious of Dolly when she gave him a diamond that she had reported stolen during the incident. So that is, again, just Christ, use your brain. Not that I'm trying to condone people getting away with murder. It's good that she got caught, but Jesus Christ, it's 1930. It really can't be that hard to get away with murder, surely. Nowadays, it's basically impossible. It is basically impossible. Everyone gets caught. There's so many ways to catch people, but then it's a bit embarrassing, if I'm honest. Like, try harder. She later stated to the police that she had found it was a diamond watch, and she later stated to the police that the thieves must have dropped it, and she found it on the front yard when she was, I don't know, mowing the lawn or something. She found it, and that's how she was in the possession of the diamond watch. Roy Kilm is another one of Dolly's lovers, and when he found out that she was having an affair with Herman Shapiro, he then went to the police and dobbed in Otto, because Otto had asked him to get rid of a pistol, and it was the same caliber pistol that had killed Fred. A neighbour also dobbed on Dolly, saying that she had given them the pistol, because this friend didn't dispose of the pistol. So she went to the neighbour and said, this just reminds me, it resembles too closely to the gun that killed my husband, so please can you just get rid of it for me? So the neighbour actually buried it in their garden. The gun was found, obviously, and it was determined to be the same caliber weapon that had killed Fred. Dolly was later arrested on suspicion of murder, and the tabloids and everything else just had an absolute field day with her. She was dubbed the femme fatale, with a insatiable appetite for sex, which, I mean, it's not it's not inaccurate, is it? Poor Dolly. I mean, not poor Dolly. We don't know if she actually planned anything, or if Otto was genuinely trying to come to her rescue, or if they had just planned to get rid of him. I'm not really sure. But does Otto go on trial? I'm not sure. Bear with. So whilst Dolly was in custody and being questioned, she confessed to Shapiro that she had Otto living in her attic and was like, you need to go let him out, otherwise he's going to die in there. I don't know how long I'm going to be. And I'm assuming he couldn't get down on his own, which is, again, just so weird, because he didn't even need to be in there. So Shapiro goes to Dolly's home. She has told him that it's her homeless brother, again, which I don't know why we're still keeping up with that. We don't need to hide it anymore. But she was having an affair with Shapiro. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. So Shapiro goes to check on Otto, and he explains the true relationship between himself and Dolly. Yeah, this just puts another twist in the tale. And Otto was dubbed as the Batman by tabloids and media because he was obviously living in the attic. Bizarrely, Otto was charged with manslaughter, but he was never actually convicted or sent to trial or anything like that because the statute of limitations had expired. So Otto changed his name to Walter Klein and moved to Canada. I think he eventually went back to LA, but that's all I know of Otto. It's a bit weird that he was obviously charged with manslaughter and Dolly was charged with murder, considering Otto is actually the one that pulled the trigger and actually the one that killed him. So I don't really understand that. Although, in fairness, Dolly's trial ended in a hung jury. Jury? I did say jury, but it sounded like jewellery. She was eventually acquitted in 1936, and Dolly remained in LA until 1961, where she passed away at the age of 80. And that was the very, very quick story of Dolly Ostrich and the Batman. And it was made a lot quicker by me talking very quickly. I'm very sorry. I don't know where that burst of energy came from, but don't give me energy drinks. Why would you voluntarily live in the attic? You don't have to anymore. Why would you just stay in the attic? Unless he just got so comfortable up there. And was he locked in the attic? Could he get out on his own? I have a lot of questions. It's just very weird. I have really bad hay fever today. I feel like I just can't breathe. I feel like I've just got stuff stuck just all here. I'm not enjoying myself. I need to go take a antihistamine. First, I need a positive thought of the day. And I think I've already used this one, but it's relevant, so it's okay. Made by Mitchell. There's new curve cases coming out tomorrow. They'll already be out by the time this video comes out, and I don't even know what they are, but I'm very excited. I don't think anyone understands my true love for makeup, and specifically Made by Mitchell. I use his products on my face every day. If I ever get big enough, this is the only person I'm bothered about being sponsored by is Mitchell. Maybe Apple to get me a new iPad because this one's broken. Yeah, that was an easy positive thought of the day. This is going to be a really, really quick video. I will try and make next week's longer. I am running out of scripts. I've got quite a lot that I need to rewrite that I've just, honestly, if you could read some of them, it's like I wrote them half asleep. They're so bad. They're so incoherent. Even I can't make sense of it, and I wrote it. That's how bad it is. I'm still saving my Elliot Rodgers. I'm not really sure what I'm saving it for. I will have to do it at some point because it is a really good script and I have wrote it actually really well, and I've got a lot of stuff to go with it. I was also looking at doing, oh my god, what's his name? Robert Durst. The one who accidentally confessed to the murders while he had his microphone on when he went to the loo. I might look at doing him. If anyone has any recommendations on kind of people who were caught in weird ways, that would be brilliant. I was going to do a section on kind of like crimes that resulted in laws, but that's very hard to Google. And I did have a list on my phone and it's gone, and it's driving me nuts because I can't remember all of the laws. There was some that I hadn't heard of. I've got Sarah's law written out, but that's kind of as far as I've got so far. So yeah, any recommendations for cases you'd like me to cover, I would very much appreciate it. Until then, make good choices. Don't have affairs. If you do, don't keep them in your attic. Don't have guns. Don't get murdered. I'll see you next week. Bye. What's a trad wife? Trad wife? Well, just say traditional. How hard is it? Bless him. He thinks I can film a whole video without doing any outtakes. I feel like you can't really look that relaxed in a rocking chair. I feel like you can look a bit manic. You can tell my train of thought's gone. Oh wait. Ugh. How cute. Oh no. Is that mathing? 40? No, it doesn't math. Holly was born on the 8th of April. No, she wasn't. Yes, she was. I'm gonna assume it's not the 60s and it's the 18... Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know how I feel about that. What's the male alternative of a mistress? Years. Who the hell is that? Love you, bye. I don't know how he got through. My phone's on Do Not Disturb. Christ, use your brain. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. I've got a lot of energy out of nowhere. In a hung jewellery. Jewellery? I did say jewellery, but it sounded like jewellery.